Hi everyone, welcome to Cybrosys. In today's video, we are going to explore the point of sale module in Odoo19, a powerful tool that helps business manage their sales, payment, and inventory in real time, especially for retail shops, cafes, and restaurants. So POS stands for the point of sale. It's a system that's used to record the customer sales in the shops or restaurants. In Odoo19, the point of sale is fast, user friendly, and fully integrated with the apps like inventory, accounting, and sales. Now, let's move on to the interface of the point of sale. As you just move on to the point of sale, here you would be able to see all the point of sale right now available, which means we can say that this is the dashboard of the point of sale. Now, upon moving on to the gear icon, you can see that you can insert this into a spreadsheet, and if you want to export all the point of sale, you can just do so. Here we can also find a search panel. Clicking on that, you would be able to just get the filters as well as group by. If you want to just get any filters as favorite, you can also just do that. Now let's see how to create a new point of sale in Odoo19. So we can move on to the list view. Currently we are in the Kanban view as a default. And upon moving on to the list view only, we'll be able to create a new point of sale. Upon clicking on new button, this would allow you to create a new point of sale, where you can provide the name of the point of sale. Let's say NYC shop is the name of the point of sale. If you want to log in with the employees, you can enable the feature where you can set the advanced right, basic rights, and minimal right. If I'm setting the advanced right over here, the person in the advanced right will have the complete authority to manage the point of sale. Now we can provide the basic right. I would like to set Abigail Peterson under the basic rights and Amy Watson in the minimal rights. So if you're just following the basic right, if all the employees, if you're setting this field as empty, then all the employees can just log in. Now, when we set Abigail Peterson as the basic right under the login with employees, this person will have the right to manage, like they just need to scan their badge or enter a PIN code to log in into the POS session. And they have the power to manage certain areas of the point of sale, and they will be treated as a cashier. If we are just moving on to the minimal rights, then Ami Watson will only have the ability to add the item to the cart and just do minimal works as a cashier in the point of sale. If you want to connect an IoT box to manage the customer display, you can enable this field. So here we have to set up the IoT box IP address, the scanner, the electronic scale, and receipt printer and everything. If you want to connect a device to your point of sale without IoT box, you can just move on with ePOS printer. So here we have to provide absent receipt printer IP address. Now I'm not using the ePOS printer or IoT box. Now you can save the changes that you have made. Now if you want to manage with the settings of the particular point of sale, you can just manage it from the configuration settings of a particular point of sale. Upon moving on to that, here you can see that currently we are in NYC shop. If you want to switch between the point of sale, you can move on here and change the point of sale. As the point of sale is not a bar or restaurant, I'll not be enabling this field. If you want to just manage with the point of sale, if it's a bar, cafe, or restaurant, we know there will be different modes of services such as takeout, delivery, dine-in, and all. And in Odoo19, we have a new feature to manage all these services by setting the presets. So upon setting the presets, you can also manage the presets with a particular physical localization, physical position, and with certain services or with certain price list. Now here you can also find the mobile self-ordering and kiosk. So currently you can see that we have the QR menu and kiosk activation. So if the customer would like to self-order anything, we can just move on with the kiosk. So here you can see that let the customer order during using their mobile or kiosk. So I'll give you an example. When we just move on to a KFC store, there we can find a system that uses this kiosk where the customer can order by their own. So here you can see that we have the self-ordering. Currently, this is disabled. If you want to enable the kiosk, you can just simply set that. And if you want to just preview web interface, you can also just do that, but you have to save the changes that you have made over here. Now here we can see the preview over there. Now, if you want to just set the service over there, you can also set the service. It can be pickup zone or table. As we are not dealing with a restaurant or bar, um, we won't be setting it as a table. We'll be only setting it as pickup zone. So here you can see that we have the default user, Michelle admin, and pay after each order. And you can also set the payment methods. Now, under this self-ordering, we can also find the splash screen that personalizes your screen by adding one or multiple images to create slides. So when you're just moving on with the kiosk, we know we have to provide multiple images of the item as the customer need to purchase the item. So we'll be providing the images of the item that they need to purchase. If you want to set a background image for the kiosk, we can also set that. And you can also set the language for the interface. It can be English or any other language. So Odoo provide the option to add the languages. Currently, the default language is English and the available language is also set to English. If you want to set multiple languages, you just need to activate multiple languages from the Odoo database, then only you can manage with multiple languages over here. Now let's move on to the payment method. So in the payment method, we can use different methods to make the payment. So here you can see that we have the customer account and we can just manage with the card, cash or anything. So if you're using the cash over here, you cannot add cash payment in kiosk mode. As we just enable the kiosk mode over here, we cannot add the cash method over here. Now, these are the features that you can find under a point of sale, and that's how we create a point of sale. Now, I'll show you an example of managing a pre-created point of sale in our database. So here you can see once a point of sale is created, you would be able to see the the point of sale over here. As you have set the kiosk, you would be also, you can also start the kiosk over there. But let's move on to another point of sale. And here I would like to open the point of sale. So upon clicking on open register, here you can see that we can just get into the point of sale, where we'll be having an open control by setting the opening cash. And you can also set an opening note. Now let me open the register. Upon opening the register, here you can see the cart where we can add the items such as the blue denim, casual t-shirts, casual t-shirt slim and everything. And here we have the option to add the customer's note. And upon clicking on the three dots, here we have certain actions such as customer note, entering the code, reward, refund, price list, quotations or order. Or if you want to cancel a particular order in your POS, you can also just do that. If you want to create a new order for a new customer, you can click on the plus button to create a new one. If you want to search a particular item, you have the option to search it from the search product panel. Currently, you can see that we have logged in as the Michelle admin. Now, here you can also see the category of these items. If you switch between the categories to upper body, you can see the upper body items over here. If you move on to the lower body, you will be only getting the lower body. If you move on to the other, you will be getting the other only. So we can create the product based on all these. Now let's add a certain items into the cart. Upon choosing the product, here you can see that we'll be getting a panel to set, a wizard to set the size. So you can choose the size, and upon moving with a larger size, you can see that we have just given the larger sizes. You can also choose the color that you want to add into the cart. Now, in Odoo 19, we don't have the I button that shows, the information card. If you want to know the information regarding a particular product, you can just provide a long press of the product. And this would allow you to get the inventory with the units, the forecasted unit, the financials such as the price included, the VAT, the price included tax, and under the order, you will be able to get the total price tax and total VAT, as well as total price included tax. So if you want to make any further changes, you can click on edit, and that will let you to make further edits in the product. Now let me add the item. So here you can see that currently we have added two t-shirts over here. Now if you want to add any particular notes over here, you can add the notes. So if it's emergency, you can just set it as emergency, and let's click on apply, because we just need to deliver these items very fast. Now, upon clicking on three dots, if you want to add any customer note, you can add the customer note over here. In point of sale, um, the customer note is a field that is used to add additional information or special instructions that's related to a specific order or a sale. Let's say that a customer note is a text note added by the cashier or a salesperson during a sales transaction. That's in the POS transaction, usually mention the customer request, delivery details, or other remarks that should be visible on the order or receipt. Let's say that the customer would like to purchase a plain t-shirt. So here we can provide the note as plain t-shirt. Afterwards, you can click on apply. So here you can see under the casual t-shirt, we have added a customer note, which is plain t-shirt. Now you can choose a customer, and here Abigail Peterson is a customer. And upon choosing the customer, you can see that we'll be getting the option to make the payment. Upon moving to the payment, you can see that we have the cash, card, and customer account. So when we just discussed about the customer, the settings of payment method, you can see that there we can add different payment methods. As we have added the cash, card, and customer account, the customer can choose any of the mode to make the payment. So the customer is just going to make the payment through the cash, through the card. So that will be choosing over here. And if we just need to get the invoice, we can just enable the invoice over here. Upon clicking on validate, here you can see that the customer will be making the payment. So here you can see that we have the invoice as we enable the invoice field with the casual t-shirt with one quantity. The price, everything is shown over here, as well as the customer note will be visible in the invoice. Now let's move on to the other features of the point of sale. Now, if you want to manage with the other feature, you can just move on to the backend. So in the backend, as you just move on to the backend, you can see that we have the point of sale currently continue selling. In Odoo 19, we have a live point of sale dashboard where you can see that as we just open the register, you would be able to see the date, and upon opening the point of sale, we set the opening balance as 1,000, and you would be able to see that. Upon moving on to the three dots, here we know that we can just manage with the settings of a particular point of sale. Now let me move on to that and choose the configuration settings. So in the configuration settings, if you want to make any further changes, ensure that first you have closed the session. Without closing a session, you cannot manage with the configuration settings features. So let me click on here to close the session first. And once you close the session, now you can see that you would be able to manage the other features of your point of sale. So first, let's close the register. So when you try to close the register, under the closing register, you can see that we have one order with the price $46, and under the opening balance, we have $1,000, and you can find the difference. The card counted value is 46, and you can find everything over here. If you want to manage with the cash in and cash out, you can also just manage with that with the reason. So if you have received anything with a cash reason, you can just simply provide the amount over here. So we can say that we have a cash in of 46, and here you can see reason we have made an order from Abigail Peterson. Okay, and let me click on confirm. So we have successfully made a cash in of 46. So once you made a cash in over here, you can see that that will be counted, and you can see it over here. Okay, so if you want to set any cash counts, you can set the cash count over here. So let's say we have a cash count of 1500, and if you want to set any closing notes, you can set that, and let me click on close register. So here, if you can see that the payment difference, if money counted doesn't match with what we expect. So we want to log the difference for the books. So if you want to proceed with that, you can just proceed anyway, and you would be able to see everything. Now let's move on to the back end. And upon moving on to the back end, here you can see that currently we have a balance of 1500. Now let's move on to the settings to manage with the further features. So as we just close the register, now we can manage with all the single features under the configuration settings. Let me enable the login with employee. So here you would be able to see that the advanced right is good for Michelle admin, who has the complete authority to manage with um, the point of sale. Now let me set the basic right over here with the Abigail Peterson and minimal right with Ami Watson. Once that's done, you can see how login with the employees works in a point of sale. You can just move on to clothes shop and open register. So once you click on open register, here you can see that in order to open the register, we have to provide the PIN code. So either the cashier need to provide the PIN code or they need to scan their badge. So here you can see that we have different cashiers such as Abigail Peterson, Ami Watson, and Michelle Edmund. I would like to choose Abigail Peterson, and upon choosing the Abigail Peterson, here you can see that we can provide the cashier and the opening balance is 1500. Now let me open the register. So upon opening the register here, you can see that upon moving on to this section, you would be able to see that this cashier will have the right to switch to the dark mode, and they can just manage with the other features such as um, like you can see that if you want to install anything, or if the cashier Abigail Peterson just want to manage with the cash in or cash out, she can just manage that. And if she want to reload the data, she can also just do that. So reloading the data is a new feature that's available in Odoo 19, and you can update it by selecting one of the following option. Like you can just manage with the limited synchronization that do a quick refresh essential data, or you can also just go ahead with full synchronization that will reload all data, and that may take longer depending on the amount of data that you have. So you can choose the option. So let me go with limited, and you can see that everything will be synchronizing over here. Now let's move on to ordering the other items over here, and let's see what all rights can be managed by an employee who's having the basic right. Now here you can see that the user has limited but standard permission, like they can just log in to the point of sale, create the process over here. So I would like to change the quantity into 5. So here you can see that the employee with the basic right will be managing the complete sales process. And if we want to provide a discount of 10%, we can just also do that. And here you can see we can manage with it, and which means they can apply the discounts if allowed it. And here we have the option to add the customer note, like let's say plain t-shirt, and let me click on apply. And but they cannot manage the configuration, cannot close the other users session, and cannot view the backend or accounting reports, as they are just a cashier or a store staff. Now let's see, she can just manage with the sales process by choosing the card. You can choose a customer, let's say Odie Peterson is um, a customer, and let's click on validate. Now, afterwards, let's move on here, and let's set it as Ami Watson. Now, Ami Watson just need to log in to be the cashier, and she is having the minimal right. So upon moving on to new order, you can see that she will be only having the option to switch to light mode as well as reload the data. So this is the lowest level of POS access, and they can just log in into the POS and register the basic sales only. They will not be having the power to give the discounts, cannot modify prices or taxes, and cannot manage the refunds or returns, and cannot access point of sale settings or report. So I would like to make an order for this person with the cashier. I mean, actually, they are not treated as a cashier. They are simply a temporary staff, helper, or a trainee. So I'll be choosing a particular person from here. I mean, particular items from here with the cashier with the minimal rights. And let's see whether we can manage any discounts for this person. So let's say, um, even if I just try to add the discounts here, you can see that we are not able to add the discounts. We can just manage with the quantity over here, but we cannot manage the discounts or anything. Now, let's say we can just manage the process. So let me choose the customer. Bharti is the customer, and let's click on validate. And here you can see they are simply managing a particular uh, the um, sales order over here. Now, let's move on to the Michelle admin. And this person has a complete right to manage the point of sale. So, as you just move on to the hamburger icon here, you can see that you'll be getting more options, like this person can manage with the creating of the product, can move to the backend and close the register and everything. Now, if you want to create a new order, he can manage with it. Now let's move on to the, let's close the register and move on with the other feature. Okay, let's proceed with anyway. Now let's move on to the backend and let's consider Abigail Peterson, and not Abigail Peterson, Michelle admin itself. And let's move on to the configuration settings to deal with each of the features one by one in the point of sale. Currently, we are not dealing with a restaurant or bar, so that I'll not be enabling this. And I don't need to deal with the mobile self-ordering or kiosk. So we can set the self-ordering as disabled itself. And we have talked about the payment method. Now we are just going to talk about the automatically validate order. Uh, and here we can find the cash rounding, the set maximum difference, and one-click payment shortcut to skip the payment screen. So you can choose which method you want to add over here. And here, if you want to provide any tips, as the customer accept the tips or convert their changes to a tip, like you can add a tip product over here, which means that whenever a customer purchase certain items from a store, um, they will be providing a small percentage of a token of appreciation to the salesperson. So we can just add the tips over here. We can also just get the maximum difference, like set a maximum difference allowed between the expected and counted money during the closing of the session. So here you can set the authorized difference. Let's say it be 100. And let me save the changes. And let's explore each features one by one. Now you can move on to the dashboard. So in the dashboard, upon opening the register, here you can see that uh, we can just automatically validate the order. So let's talk about the automatically validate order. Let me choose few items. Let's say I just want to add a t-shirt. Let me add it, a black embroidered t-shirt. And here you can see that we have enabled a feature called one-click payment, which is a new feature that's available in Odoo 19. So one-click payment allows you to add the payment method without navigating into the payment mode by when you just choose a payment method. You can instantly manage with the payment through a one click. So automatically validate order. So when this option is enabled, the POS system automatically confirms or validate the order of the payment is then. You don't need to manually click the validate. So currently you can see that the customer is just going to purchase a t-shirt and embroidered black t-shirt with the amount is given, and you can you don't need to click on the payment over here separately. Using the one click payment, you can choose the payment method from here, and upon choosing that, you can see that You don't need to separately validate that everything over here. It's been set over here. Now we also enable the rounding method. So once you enable with the rounding method, you can also just manage the cash rounding adjustments, that's the total payable amount to match the available smallest currency unit. So if you're setting it to the nearest as a zero point 0.5 or 1, you can see if you're providing an amount of 99.50, then that will be rounded depending on the rule that you have provided. Okay, so currently I have just given the rule to set as zero point 0.5 there. So currently there is nothing to round over here. So you will be getting the same amount itself. So this is a use case, used in the retail shop where the customer pay in cash and small coins aren't used. Now you can also just manage the maximum difference. That's the other one that we have discussed. So setting of maximum difference is nothing but when you just try to close the register here, you can see that you'll be getting the difference over here. So this would allow you to just get the difference between the amount paid and the rounded total during the cash round. So, if the difference is just 0.10, Odoo will not accept the payment because it exceeds the allowed tolerance. But if the maximum difference is just 0.50, it will accept that. So, you can basically use the cash difference to avoid the large rounding difference that could affect the rounding accuracy. Okay, so you can manage all those things. Now let's move on to the other feature. So let me discard this, and here to manage with the other feature, first let's discard uh, the register, and afterwards you can move on to the configuration settings. Let's move on to the backend. In the backend, we have the three dots to manage the configuration settings, and under the settings here you can see that um here we can manage the login with employees that we have already discussed. So if you want to share open orders, like you can just set that. So here I don't need to share any open orders, like allow access each other activate orders. So here if you want to set anything, you can just set the trusted point of sale. Now in Odoo 19 we have an option to do the booking of online reservation. So this feature will be useful for table booking through the online, or for a dental care, tennis court, or online cooking lessons, or anything. So we have already discussed this feature in what's new in Odoo 19 point of sale. So if you have any doubt regarding this feature, you can just watch that video. Now let me enable the um, large scroll bars that's improve the navigation for imprecise industry touch screen, and let's hide pictures in the POS during the self ordering. And we can also group products by category. So this displays the product grouped by the category. So let me save the changes that we are just going to make, and here you can also set the restricted category. So here you can see you can pick uh, uh, which product POS categories are available, and if you want to just get the show the margin and cost, you can also just get that information. So let me save the changes that we have made, and afterwards let's move on to each of the features. So under the dashboard you can open the register. So upon opening the register, here you can see that as we set the restricted category as uh, uh, certain categories, you would be able to see the categories over here in the clothes store, such as the upper body, lower body, everything. Now open the registers. Here you can see the restricted categories. As we have enabled the large scroll bar, you can also see the large scroll bar. So if you have many items, you can simply use the large scroll bar to get the item easily. And let me add each items over here. And upon giving a long press, here you can see that the margin will be showing over here. So here you can see as we enable the cost, the margin and cost, you would be able to see that. As we haven't set the cost over here, you won't be able to get the margin. So currently you can see the total margin as 25 itself. So if you want to know the exact margin of a product, you can just move on to the hamburger icon, and here you can see the currently the product is black embroidered t-shirt. So you can move on to the back end and manage with the product. So under the product, you can choose the products from here, and here let me search for black embroidered t-shirt. So here you can see that we have the option to set the cost. So yeah, currently you cannot see the cost field over here as we have variance for this. Now let me consider the other product which does not contain any variance. Okay, so here you can see that we have the casual denim shorts. So upon moving on to here, you can see the cost is given as 31.50 and the sales price is 35. Now, as you just move on to the dashboard and continue selling, you can easily find the cost and margin of the items. So here, let me choose it. Upon moving on to the info card, you will be getting that. So here you can see the margin is 3.50 and the cost is given as 31.50. And you can also find the price, everything over here. Now, upon clicking on the three dots, if we want to just manage with canceling of the order or anything, we can also just manage with it. Okay, if you want to change the price of the product, you can change the price of the product. If I want to just change the price of the product as 60 from 40, we can just do that. If you want to change the quantity, we have the option to change the quantity. And if I just need to apply any prices for apply discounts for this, I can easily apply the discounts. And these all are the options that's available in the POS over here. And now, um, let's move on to the rest of the features. Okay, if you want to restrict any particular category and everything, we can simply do it from here. So let me close the register. So when you just try to close the register, here you can see, yeah, we can easily move on to the backend. Now let me move on to the other features. So let's click on the configuration settings. And in the configuration settings, the next part we're going to discuss about is the accounting. So here you can see that we can set the taxes. So currently we have set the taxes as 15%. And you can also see the default POS account. So that will be having the intermediary account used for the unidentified customer. So upon moving to that, you would be able to see the balance, all the accounts that, every configuration related to the account receivable. Now we have the uh, yeah, flexible taxes. So if you want to manage with the flexible taxes, use physical position to get different taxes. You can just manage it, with it. You can set the domestic one, and you can also just add the taxes over here. Now, if you want to track the order edits, you can also manage with the store edit orders in the backend. Track order edits is a feature that were introduced in the Odoo in the Odoo 18. Now you can also set the default journal. So the default journal is set to the point of sale because we are taking the orders from point of sale, and the invoices will be managed under sales. So you can also close entry by product. This displays a breakdown of sales line by product in the automatically generated closing entries. So you can save all the changes over here. And if you want to set the sales team, like the sales are reported to the following sales team. So I would like to set the sales to a particular sales team over here. Now, if you want to choose any down payment product over here, you can simply set that. Okay. So once everything is done, you can save the changes, and let's explore the mentioned features. Now move on to the dashboard and continue selling. So here you can see that we are just going to manage different features, such as the closing entry of the product. Let me consider certain product randomly from here. So you can see that currently when we just provide tax with 15%, that tax will be applied for each of the product. The taxes are being added over here. So if you want to see the taxes separately, you can give a long press on this, and here you would be able to see the tax that is applied. And if you want to just make the payment, you can go ahead with the payment. And here you can see that I would like to make tips over here for the customer with 10, and let me just go with it so that that tip will be added over here. Now let's make the payment. So upon choosing cash, card or customer account, you can just validate with the process. Once everything is done, you can just close the register. So once the register has been closed, and you can move on to the accounting module. So currently we just need to proceed anyway. So you can see that the taxes will be split into separate lines under the accounting. So under the accounting, you can find the accounting, and here we have the journal entry. So currently you can see that the recently created the journal entry will be shown over here. So when you add separate items, that will have been, the taxes will be shown separately over here. Now again, let's move on to the point of sale, and let's disable the functionality. So this functionality is actually introduced in Odoo 18, and you can see closing entry by product. When you just disable this, you can see all the you cannot find the taxes separately over there. Okay, so we have already done a video regarding that in the Odoo 18. So if you have any doubt regarding the feature, you can just watch that. Okay, now let's move on to the other one. Other features such as the flexible price list, price control, uh, modification to the manager, line discounts. Then here you can set the price list that's available. Currently, you can see the price, nothing is available. So if you want to create a new price list, you can create a new one. So let me create a new price list. So in Odoo, there are different ways in which you can manage the price list. Okay, so I would like to create a price list for loyal customers. So I'll be using it over here. You can set the country group to which this price list must be applied. Under the sales, you can click on add a line to apply. So here we can apply the price list for the products or category. And if you want to apply for all the product, we can keep the product field as null. And you can also set a fixed price for the product. If I'm setting fixed price as 100, then for all product, it will be 100. Okay, and if you want to add any recurring prices or rental rules, you can also set that. And if you want to create any other rules, you can also just go ahead with save and new. Okay, and let me set it over here. And if you want to use any particular price list as default, you can also just set that. Here, price control let you to restrict the modification to the managed, that is restrict price modification to the managers. And here we have the line discounts that allow the cashier to set a discount per line. And here we also have the product prices, that is product prices on receipt with the tax excluded as well as tax included. So if you want to include the taxes on the product prices, that will be included along with the product prices. If you want to set the taxes and the price of the product separately, you can just go ahead with tax excluded. Now, if you want to set global discounts, you can also set a global discount. Global discounts is nothing but the discount will be applied entirely for the item in the cart. Now, you can also manage with the promotions, coupon, gift cards, and loyalty program. This manage the promotions that will grant customers discounts or gift cards. And we can also manage with the gift cards, e-wallets, and everything. If you want to make any further changes over there, you can just go ahead with custom, gift cards as well as e-wallet. So e-wallet, it is nothing but that's the electronic wallet where the customers can keep a digital amount in their wallet. Okay. Now let's all these features, and let's move on to the dashboard. So let's open the register, and let's talk about one and features one by one. Now here you can see that upon adding certain items, you would be able to see the fixed prices set to 100. This is because we have created a price list called fixed prices for loyal customers. So here you can see by default it will be selected. So if you have multiple price lists, that will be listed over here. Currently we have created only one, and we have make it available and set it as default one. So here you can see all the product will be having a fixed price over here. So whatever product you try to add into the cart, all those will be having the fixed price. Now we need to talk about the price control. So price control is a feature that would allow to manage the prices for the cashier only. So if that field is enabled, and the cashier with the higher access right only can manage the prices. So here I would like to change the price over here. So you can see that I can just manage it with it. I mean, it's over here. But if I have multiple cashiers who is having the basic right or minimal right, they won't be able to manage the price control over there. Okay. Now, upon moving on to the three doors here, you can see that we have the option to give the discount. So if you want to provide discounts, uh, here you can just apply the discounts. So here you can see we have just provided a global discount over here. So if you are just moving on with global discount, the discount will be applied for every um, um, items in the cart. So if you want to provide a discount for particular product, you can also just do that. Like if you want to provide the discounts in order lines, you can also just manage with it. And if you want to just continue with the process of the payment, you can just go ahead with payment, or you can just move on with the card or cash, which is one click payment. Now let's move on to the other features in the in the POS. So let me close the register first and move on to the backend. Upon moving on to the backend in the configuration, we can move on to the configuration of the pricer. I mean, configuration settings of the cloud shop in order to manage the pricer. So here you can enable the pricer. This displays and update your product information through the electronic price tags. Okay, so if you want to manage with the pricer, you can save the changes that you have made, and you can also just manage with the promotions, coupons, and gift cards over here. And once that's done, under the configuration, you can see that you'll be getting the option to manage the pricer. Now we can move on to the configuration. So under the configuration, you can see that under the pricer, we have the pricer store and pricer tag. So let's move on to the pricer store. So here you can provide the pricer store name. So pricer store, yeah, here we can provide the pricer store name, the pricer Tantan name, the pricer login, pricer password, and the pricer store ID. First, we need to provide the store name, pricer, tender name, the pricer login, pricer password, and pricer store ID, as well as a pricer tag. So before moving on to that, to manage with the pricer, first we have to create a new product. Let's say red t-shirt, and let me make it as favorite. And under the point of sale, you can um, set the category. So let's say it's the upper body, make it available under the upper body, and let's save the changes that we have made, and also ensure that under the general information we have provided the barcode. So let me provide the, yeah, barcode over here, and you can save the changes that you have made. Now upon moving on to the configuration, we can choose a pricer store. So here, upon clicking on new, let me set the name as Mint. Store name is Mint, and here you can see pricer. Tender name, that is your company identifier at pricer. Mint itself. You can set the login over here. I would like to set it as Mint, and you can provide the password. Now you can also just set the identifier of the pricer in the pricer system. So let me just give the identifier. Okay, and afterwards save the changes that you have made over here. Now we need to do a quick pairing. To do the quick pairing, what we have to do is we need to give the product. So Odoo will automatically find the product. So here you can see that red t-shirt has been found. Now you can also just go ahead with the pricer tag barcode. So you can scan the pricer tag barcode over here. So if you want to manage with the pricer tags, you would be able to see it over here. So this would allow you to get the pricer tag. So here you can provide the pricer tag barcode ID. Okay, it is recommended to use the barcode scanner for input. And here you can also provide the product. So I would like to set the product as a t-shirt. which is red t-shirt. Okay, and choose that, and you can also choose the pricer. So before choosing that, you need to set the pricer tag barcode, then only you will be able to set it over here. Okay, so that's all about the pricer in Odoo 19 point of sale. Now let's move on to the configuration settings and let's deal with the rest of the features of point of sale. Now we need to just talk about the custom header and filters, SMS enabled send export and automatic receipt printing. This print receipts automatically once the payment is um, being registered, and we can also just manage with the self-service invoices. And we have the basic receipt that's print the basic ticket without prices and can be used for gift. And if you want to manage the WhatsApp enablement for the POS, we can also just do that. Now, if you want to just set the header and footer, like add a custom message to the header and footer, you can just do that. So, welcome, and I'll be setting thank you for purchasing over here. And you can see that we have the food delivery connector, which is the Urban Piper, which is a new feature in the Odoo 19 that would manage your online orders with Urban Piper, as like Swiggy, Zomato, and all. And we have the payment terminal that would allow you to just manage the payment terminals with the Stripes, Razorpay, which means you can just use these for managing the transaction by online. And if you want to manage with the customer display with the IoT box and everything, you can just go ahead with the section connected devices. And if you want to manage with the preparation prints like print order at the kitchen or the bar, you can just enable this field where you need to connect the printer and manage that. And if you want to add the internal notes on the order lines for the kitchen, you can just add it over here. Now, let's save the changes and we'll be talking about the inventory section once we complete the rest of the features. So currently we are just going to discuss about the bills and receipts feature one by one. Now let's save the changes. So here you can see that some of the fields are missing as we just enable the WhatsApp over here. So once you enable the WhatsApp, you just need to provide the receipt template, invoice template, and everything. So as I haven't configured the WhatsApp over here, I'm not setting this feature. So let me uncheck it and save the changes. Now afterwards, we can just move on to the, okay, let's close it. And yeah, save this page and come back here to set up this feature. So once you can save the changes over here. So currently you can see that you are in restaurant. So we need to just manage for the cloth shop. So let me change everything. Yeah. And you can just manage the custom header, SMS. You can choose a template, basic receipt, automatic receipt printing. Then here you can provide the message. Okay. So once everything is done, you can save the changes. Now let's move on to the dashboard. In the dashboard, you can again open the register. And here you have the option to add the items. So let me add the items over here. Okay, randomly add the items. If you want to add the code or like enter code to get any particular discounts, you can just apply the codes over here by applying the loyalty programs. And if you want to just get any rewards, you can also just get the reward. So let me choose a particular customer. Let's say Abigail Peterson is a customer. So here you can see that the customer is having a loyalty point of points, and that's been added over there. And if you want to just apply the reward, you can apply the reward, and the further changes will be calculated over here. And let's move on to the payment. Under the payment, you can see that you can just use the payment method, or you can instantly do the payments from here. So I would like to make a card payment. As I just choose a card payment here, you can see that automatically the invoice will be printing over here once we enable the feature automatic invoicing. And upon enlarging this, you can see that we have the header over here, which is welcome, and you can also find the footer which has been given over here. Okay, so all these things will be calculated. I mean, not only calculated, will be applied in our invoices. Okay, now again, let's move on to the backend to manage with allow shipping as well as with the inventory management. So let's close the register. Move on to the backend. Here's configuration settings, and here we go that with the final section of the point of sale to manage the inventory. So under the operation types, you can manage that's used to record the product picking. The products are consumed from its default source location. So we'll be setting it as your point of sale. And under the barcode, you can also set the barcode nomenclature as well as the fallback nomenclature. And if you want to manage the inventory management for the POS at the session closing as well as during the real time, you can also manage with it. And if you want to allow ship later, you can also just do that. So there are two options to manage the allow ship later, that is to pick the item from the warehouse as soon as the products are available, or we can also just manage it when all products are ready. Okay, so I'll show you the examples for allow ship later as well as the inventory management at session closing as well as real time. So we need to save the changes that we have made over here. Now let's move on to the dashboard and open the register. And afterwards, I would like to purchase the product, which is yeah, here we have the jean jacket. Let me set the quantity as one. And upon moving on to the payment, you can see that we have the ship later as we just enable that. And the invoicing policy is that as soon as possible. I'll be choosing it, and you can set the date to ship the item. And let's click on confirm. And here we need to consider a customer who is having the complete address, then only we can manage with it. So let's do everything, and you can choose the method of payment, and let's click on validate. Okay, so once everything is done, what you have to do is we need to manage with the delivery of the item. So we can move on to the backend. From the backend, we have the orders. In under the orders, we have the order that we have created, and under the picking, you can see that here, as we don't have the sufficient item, it's under waiting, right? So the quantity cannot be delivered because we need to check the quantity. So you can see I would like to set the quantity over here as 50. Okay, so let me save it. Upon moving on to the picking, you can see that currently it's ready because we have the quantity, and we can just deliver the item as soon as possible. So upon clicking on validate, we can just deliver the item to the customer, and we can just manage with the SMS confirmation because we have enabled that feature in the configuration settings. Now we can move on to the configuration settings to manage ship later with the other feature. And here you can see that um, you can just change the invoicing policy when all products are ready. Okay, so here let me save the changes. So currently, when you consider the product, the jean jacket, here you can see that currently we have 49 quantity. So if a customer tries to purchase more than this quantity, then we cannot deliver the item as we don't have sufficient quantities. Okay, so let's move on to the point of sale again. And here you can just continue the selling. And here let me consider the jean jacket with 50 quantity. So I would like to set the quantity as 50. Move on to the payment, and from the payment, I'll be doing the ship later. You can also choose the date on which you just need to deliver the item. So confirm it and choose the customer. I would like to consider Edison itself, and he'll be making the customer account. And let's click on validate. And once everything is done, what you have to do is we can move on to the backend, and from the backend we can manage with the order. Okay, so under the order, you can see that as we don't have sufficient items, we'll not be able to deliver the item to the customer. So here you can see that under the picking, it will be ready, and you can see it's not available because currently the product is not available. So due to the insufficiency of the product, we cannot just do that. But when we have all the products available, we can just deliver the item to the customer. Okay, so that's how we just deal with the ship later in Odoo 19. Now let's move on to the rest of the functionalities of Odoo. You can just click on continue selling. And now let's deal with the customer dues. So here you can see that we have the total due which can be settled from here. So you can choose a customer, and you can just settle up the dues using the cash or the card. So once it's done, you can see everything is ready. Now, if you want to manage the due of the other one, you have the same option. You can just deposit the money. Okay, so using the card or cash, so you can just set it over here and click on validate. So you cannot deposit zero amount. So here you can set the amount that you need to deposit. So let's say I would like to deposit 1,000 over here, and let me click on validate. So you, if you want to deposit the amount, you can just go ahead with depositing. So here you can see that the deposit amount is 1,000 um uh, over here, 10,000 over here. And yeah, so if you want to manage with the settling orders, or the depositing of the amount, or the depositing of the money, you can easily do it from here. Now let's move on to the final features, uh, which means we can move on to the back end. If you want to just deal with the orders, the sessions that's managed, you can just move on to the sessions that will be showing all the sessions that we have opened or used. And we can also just make use of the payments. So there are different payment types, which can be card, customer account, cash, and you can find each transaction that has taken place from which order and which frame sessions. And in Odoo 19, we have a new option called preparation display that shows the kitchen display. So if you want to find any preparation screens and everything, you can just go ahead into that. And if you want to manage the customers of the point of sale, here we have the option. And under the product, you can manage with the product variants, combo choices, price list, discounts, e-wallet, and everything. So we have already discussed about what's new in Odoo 19 point of sale restaurants in another video. So I'm not including all those features in the overview because I have just done it separately. So if you have any doubt regarding what are the new features that's available in the POS restaurant, you can just watch that. Finally, we are moving on to the reporting, and under the report, we'll be getting the orders, and you would be able to find the order analysis with different measures such as the average price, delay validation, margin, then the sales line count, subtotal with the discounts, or subtotal with the taxes. Everything is shown over here. Now again, let's move on to the other one, which is the sales details. You can just manage with the sales details with the start date and end date, and you can also just print that. Afterwards, if you want to just get the session report, you can find the session report upon selecting a particular cloth store or the sessions. You will be getting the reports upon clicking on print. The report will be printing over there. So I'm not doing that right now. And afterwards, you can also just move on to the reporting of the preparation time. This is the new feature that's available in Odoo 19 point of sale. You can manage with the different measures such as average preparation time, quantity, and everything. So that's all about the overview of the point of sale of Odoo 19. If you find this video informative, please do like, share, and subscribe our channel. If you want Odoo customization, Odoo implementation, and Odoo tutorial videos, feel free to contact Cybrosys. And that's all for today. Thank you for watching the video.